first voiceover speed paint video that I've ever done. So a lot of people have been asking me to do like a tutorial. This is not really that, but it's more so just me explaining like my process with words and showing the process with the speed paint. But yeah, so of course at first I start with a sketch. The sketch usually involves me just trying to figure out what I'm doing, like with composition, pose, expressions, all that. Like I typically have references ready before I start, so but you can't see them on the screen because I didn't put them on the canvas. I typically don't like putting my reference on the canvas unless I'm like only sketching. Otherwise it kind of throws me off if I have like different colors in the canvas because I'm trying to figure out the color palette and like the background color what I want. Okay, so now we're moving on to base colors. This is typically where I have like my skin and hair and clothes in a different layers. Of course, the background layer is like also separate from the sketch and the color layers. So after that, I move on to like trying to figure out how to do dabbled light because I've never done that before, and this is just more so me being messy and trying to also figure out like the color, like tweak the colors a little bit with overlays, trying to see like what, like make the colors a bit warmer so I can like figure out what I want to do. So I don't know, I feel like the fact that that shows in my process makes this so messy, but it is what it is. Art is kind of messy sometimes. Okay, now we finally move on to the rendering process, where I usually start rendering the skin first because I don't know, I just like starting with the skin. It's just the easiest for me in my, like, I feel like I'm the best at doing skin out of like everything that I usually draw in my pieces. I'm better at like hair than I used to be, but it's still kind of something that I need a lot of references for, so yeah. Now, as you can see, I'm just starting with the shirt. I have a lot of references, but you just can't see them on the screen, which is a shame because I'd love to like show how many references I usually use for like pieces like this, because it involves a lot of them. I feel like people don't really, like, if they're not artists themselves, they don't really realize how many references a lot of artists usually use. I remember when I was like younger, I thought that using references was a bad thing, but I quickly got over that and realized that it really helps me get better. And also, like, I think the best like sort of advice that I got, or like a thing that I still think about whenever someone talks about like the need for references, is that, okay, someone asks you to draw a horse but you've never seen one, how can you draw a horse? So like basically your visual library needs practice, and even like master artists use a lot of references for their pieces. Even if they're like, they've been drawing for decades, they're still using references for like hands, for example, because they are very complicated to draw. Human anatomy especially is very complicated, and since I draw mostly characters, humanoid characters, I need a lot of information when it comes to human anatomy. So references are to help with that. Anyways, about the process again. I am just here rendering the hair. I go back to like the first hair layer and I kind of softly erase some of it to make it darker, so like the highlights that I've already done look more intense. So like I have an easier, like I can make the shadows a bit quicker. I don't have to, and they blend into the piece much better than like me or like going over the already done highlights. So that's pretty much what I do. And well, next after that, I will go over the dress, which you'll see soon that I'll like start making the colors very different because I didn't like. I had no idea what I was doing with Avira's dress at this point. I was like, okay, what the fuck? I've had a hard time like drawing, making like pieces like this where because Avira has blue skin, like trying to make the blue skin look natural with the environment, and I don't think I'm that good at it yet, still. Um, but practice makes perfect, I guess. Uh, so yeah. Okay, now you can finally see me going over the dress. Uh, I typically here, you can see I tweak some of the colors a little bit to make it more pleasing, like less brown, more purple, because I was like, okay, that's her favorite color. So we'll make the dress purple. Now, I moved on to the background and just did grass. I don't know how else to explain, just grass texture that I just drew myself and I multiplied some of the stuff. Now going over the dabbled light, which I just feel like the speed paint never shows how much time I mean speed paint, how much time I actually use on each step, because this one felt like it took forever, but it looks like such a quick step in the speed paint. But trying to figure out how to make it look natural. I have a lot of references for this one as well. I had a hard time finding them though, but I think it was all worth it because it looks great now. And this is just final steps of tweaking some details and like adding some small details like jewelry, and it's done.